Namaskaram. The glory of the fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The story of Pingala. In the land of Bhadra, there once stood a town known as Purukutsapura. In that town lived a Brahmin named Pingala. From an early age, he was trained in traditional Brahminical duties and instructed in the Vedas. Yet, despite receiving proper education, he showed no real interest in spiritual learning. As he entered youth, Pingala abandoned his Vedic studies and turned instead towards music, singing, and dance. Over time, he became highly accomplished in these arts and gained widespread fame. Pleased by his talent, the king invited him to reside within the royal palace. However, proximity to power and luxury led Pingala towards moral decline. Gradually, he became immersed in sinful pleasures. He indulged in illicit relationships, intoxication, and various unethical acts. Pride grew within him as he gained greater intimacy with the king, and he took particular pleasure in secretly criticizing others before the ruler. Pingala had a wife named Aruna who was born into a low-status family. She herself was consumed by lust and maintained relationships with many men. When Pingala discovered her behavior, Aruna, fearing exposure, resolved to kill him. One night while he slept, she severed his head and buried his body in the garden. After death, Pingala fell into the most dreadful regions of hell where he suffered intensely for a long time. Later he was reborn as a vulture. Aruna meanwhile continued her immoral life until she contracted a severe venereal disease. Her beauty faded quickly, and when she died, she too descended into the hell. After prolonged suffering, she was reborn as a female parrot. One day the parrot wandered in search of food. At that moment, the vulture, who retained memory of his previous life as Pingala, recognized her as his former wife. Driven by rage and remembrance, he attacked her violently. The wounded parrot fell into water collected inside a human skull and drowned. Soon after, a hunter arrived and shot the vulture with an arrow. As the vulture collapsed, his head also fell into the water within the skull, and he too perished. Thereupon the messengers of Yamaraja seized both beings and brought them to the abode of death. Filled with fear, they recalled their sinful past. Yet when they stood before Yamaraja, he spoke compassionately. "You are now freed from all sins. Proceed to Vaikuntha." Amazed, Pingala and Aruna asked how beings as sinful as themselves had earned the right to attain the Lord's eternal abode. Yamaraja replied, "On the sacred banks of the river Ganga lived a great devotee of Lord Vishnu named Vata. Free from lust and greed, he recited the fifth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita daily with unwavering devotion. When he left his body, he attained Vaikuntha directly. By the power of his constant recitation, his body became completely purified. Because you both came into contact with the skull that once belonged to that pure devotee, you too have been liberated." Thus, this is the immeasurable glory of the fifth chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Narayana, Narayana.